Are you a solo player in Sea of Thieves? Well, not anymore. Welcome to Season 12 and allow me to introduce you to the Bonecallers. Because this one-of-a-kind weapon has the ability to summon skeletons to aid you in battle. That's right, whether you want them to defend your ship, fight other skeletons, or cover you as you're trying to board an enemy vessel, these things will be your new best friends on the seas. The catch? They are fairly difficult to come by and your minions do not stick around forever. Meaning if you get your hands on a couple of these bad boys, you want to make sure you use them at the right time. If you're some puny mortal, that is. What, you're telling me I can command an army of skeletons in Sea of Thieves and you think I'm not gonna immediately jump at that opportunity? Because today, my friends, I will not only show you all the best ways to collect Bonecallers, but also use them to rain death and destruction upon my enemies. I will become the Lich King. Okay, I know you have a lot of questions, like when did I become a skeleton? How do the Bonecallers work exactly? And oh my god, is that the Shrouded Ghost? And of course the most important question of all, which flavor of Gamer Subs am I drinking today? The answer is Blowhole Blast. This video is sponsored by Gamer Subs and their phenomenal range of caffeinated and non-caffeinated beverages. From standard flavors like lemonade all the way to more exotic types like anime girl thigh and good, yes that is actually its name, you are sure to find something that you enjoy. And if you enjoy saving money as well, don't fret, you can save 10% on your entire order simply by visiting gamersubs.gg/Cliff or using code Cliff at checkout. And every time you do that, I get a handsome kickback. So make sure to bookmark my link if you end up enjoying the products as much as I do. Thank everybody so much for your support. Thank you to Gamersubs for sponsoring today's video, and now, onto our standard programming. Waking up in New Golden Sands, I was ready to assemble my army. Today, we will be sailing on the Ice Crown Citadel. I mean, if this was my trusty steed, calling it invincible would have been more appropriate, but like, you can see the ship, so it wasn't really that fitting. Either way, we started off on the right foot because somebody left me a couple storage crates right outside the dock. If this is the kind of luck I could be expecting for the rest of my voyage, I'd be a happy man. But unfortunately for me, not all surprises were that pleasant. What are these cannon shots? Might want to investigate that. Oh, a galleon! What the? Nothing like starting off the day having to fight for my life. That galleon was after another sloop, and me being a solo slooper myself, helping them just kind of felt like the right thing to do. The lack of cosmetics on the galley made me believe that these could be new players, which would definitely make this a very winnable fight so long that our sloops hold together. At one point, I saw a prime opportunity to board their vessel. If I could anchor them, that would make it easy for my ally to lay into them. Just that their ship decided to hop over a wave in the exact moment I tried to board them, leaving me stranded. But that wasn't even the worst thing that happened. Oh, come on, video game! You're supposed to be on my side! I am the Lich King! Oh my god. Rare, please, I'm begging you, man! What is this? Words cannot describe how absolutely annoyed I am about that. You know what? Maybe they can, but then I get demonetized. And I'm Kraken! Are you absolutely kidding me right now? So much for my lucky start into the day. Next to the scaly galleon bombardment in combination with a tight hug from Karen, I also had to deal with the galleon of human occupants trying to board my vessel. It was clear to me that these definitely were new players and what would usually be described as blunderbots, but that did not make the whole situation any less stressful. The anchor ball I got hit with could have definitely been my doom if those players had even the faintest idea of how to use a cannon, but since all they did was send one person at a time to board me, I had more than enough time to stabilize. Once I managed to get out of the Kraken's reach to sink the Scally Galleon, I could finally give these guys my attention, and you can be certain that I was gonna let them feel my displeasure about the whole situation. But credit where credit is due, they kept fighting even after they ran out of supplies, going for one last hurrah, ramming my vessel whilst boarding me in a desperate attempt to have me go down along with them, which went about as well for them as you expected. But you know what? It wasn't even them that I was angry about. It's the dang sloop that left me hanging when I went out of my way to help them against this galleon. Because don't be mistaken, not a single cannonball was fired from their vessel. They simply dipped as soon as the galleon began focusing on me. Either way, I had better things to do than chasing a cowardly sloop, because one thing was for certain, I was tired of having to fight on my own. Meaning, I had to get some Bonecallers. Basics out of the way first. You can get Bonecallers from any of the skeleton forts in the game. All you need to do is check the barrels. No, they do not need to be active, and no, sea forts do not count. Also, according to the trailer, you are supposed to get Bonecallers as a reward for skeleton fleets, but I haven't gotten a single one of them from any fleet I have defeated. The pro tip here is that, since they can spawn in any random barrel, you want to find places with a high barrel density. I found that shipwrecks are really good for that, but once again, sea forts do not work for this because these barrels have predetermined spawn rules that don't allow for Bonecallers to appear. If you are a pirate legend, I found that the ship Graveyard from the Legend of the Veil voyage worked incredibly well. I have never gotten out of these without at least one Bonecaller to my name, and once even found as many as 7 inside inside these shipwrecks. But I didn't have the idea to try that until later. Another reason why regular non-Legend of the Veil shipwrecks were great was because you also have a chance to find the Horn of Fair Winds, which is simply a phenomenal item to have on your boat. At this stage, I had a pocket full of bone callers to call upon, but there was one more skeleton I wanted to recruit. My most powerful soldier, the Harbinger of Death, wielder of the Golden Skeleton Curse, and ride or die Flameheart supporter from day zero, Toxie Sinclaire. Lo and behold, Toxie Sinclaire, our war chest.
What the hell? Okay, this is looking juicier. Only 8?
What do you mean only 8? Excuse me.
How long have you been on for?
It's been an hour and a half. Cut me some slack. Turns out that this particular soldier was rather difficult to impress. To be fair, to unlock the Golden Skeleton Curse, you have to be level 1000 in the PvP faction Servants of the Flame. So what is impressive to me might not be impressive to her. To become a regular skeleton like myself, 100 levels would be enough, and I'm sure you're wondering how I made that happen, since most of you know me as not being very good at PvP. But that is a story for another day, so make sure you subscribe to not miss that one. Either way, I have now doubled my crew size, and with that, doubled the amount of soldiers I can command, because every single member of your team can add their own bone caller to the mix. Though it is worth mentioning that for every individual person tossing their bone caller, if you throw a new one whilst your skeletons are still alive, they will simply get replaced by new ones. That's why having more people in your crew or alliance is really the only way to scale up the size of your army. But there was another ship getting suspiciously close to us whilst we were checking the fort, and I figured that I should be sparing them a visit. My ship now. Yo, whoa, hold up. Stop doing that. That's not cool. The seas really are just filled with new PS5 players. Since they were currently on the Skull of Siren Song voyage, which grants a very specific item we did not have any use for, I decided to simply let them go. Remember this moment. I was a benevolent king after all, and if there was somebody whom I would send my army after, I wanted to make sure that it was a target worth attacking. So every time we saw an uncaptained sloop with no cosmetics, we simply let them go, looking for more bone callers and other supplies at the various skeleton forts before returning to our vessel to go on the hunt. But ladies and gentlemen, the thing that we would end up hunting definitely caught me by surprise. Is that the Shrouded Ghost? Wait. Hold up.
Wait, are you kidding?
Are you joking right now?
Are you kidding me? No way!
Tag it with something. Throw a knife in it.
Well, where is it?
It's behind the swabbies. Oh, I'm so sorry about that. We need to hurry up. We need to get the Shrouded.
Hey, where is it?
I don't know where it is. This was simultaneously the luckiest and unluckiest thing that could have happened. The Shrouded Ghost is by far the rarest Megalodon in the game, to the point where some people don't even believe it's real. The problem? It had spawned on the swabbies in front of us, and they were sailing straight for the island. Megalodons will despawn when a ship leaves open water, so my only chance was to get on over there and sail them back out before it disappeared. Toxie, meanwhile, was doing her best in getting as many shots in as possible to somehow hopefully get the aggro onto us. I had to explain to these swabbies why it was that I had to take their ship hostage, and I think the tone of my voice gave away how serious the situation really was. But in the end, our effort was in vain. I did mark the area on the map. Wait, hold up.
I'm hearing something.
What is this?
It's a yellow one!
Are you joking?
Here.
I hate literally everything. This was about as worst case scenario as it got. Another Megalodon had taken its place, meaning the Shrouded Ghost was gone. We did a great many things to try and get it back, circling around the area where we found it, playing Summon the Megalodon on our instruments, and hoping for some kind of miracle. But none of it made a difference. And as such, this event shall henceforth be known as the G14 incident. I was beside myself. The swabbies that had spawned the Shrouded Ghost were the same ones with the Skull of Siren Song that I decided to let go. Had I sunk them then and there, we would have been the one that had the Shrouded Ghost spawn on. Between the sloop that ran away at the beginning, the AI that was conspiring against me, and now this, I had run out of patience. I made it my job to hunt down and destroy every single vessel on our server. It didn't matter the size of the ship, how long of a trip, or whatever desperate plea left their lip. This server was ours. So imagine how I felt when I saw a decked out galleon trying to do another Skull of Siren Song voyage on our server. This wretched quest. At this stage, our ship was filled to the brim with loot we collected from our foes, but not only that, we also had a variety of different weapons at our disposal. The Wind Waker would allow us to catch up to them, and the Ashen Wind Skulls would serve us well once the battle began. But of course, we also had an army of skeletons to unleash. Toxie,
Yeah.
get the war chest.
Are we gonna be able to catch them?
Perhaps. I mean, they're in the storm now. Whoa, what the? Whoa. Toxie, you're griefing already.
Sorry.
I really hope my other skeletons don't grief me the same way Toxie did. Thanks to the Wind Waker, and because the Skull of Siren Song reveals the eternal location to anyone who accepted the quest, I was confident we would be able to catch up to them. This was not the same assortment of no cosmetics PS5 players that I've been fighting before, meaning we would need every advantage we can get to win this battle. We got to the destination before they did, allowing us to set up an ambush, and as soon as they set foot on the island, it was time for war. Onwards, minions! Get them! Attack!
Where's the skull? I see.
Got one.
Got one.
He's running away. Get the minions! Our skeletons are stronger than your skeletons! Alright, the Skull Sign Song's mine.
Nice.
Let's bail.
Okay.
Toxie, it's time to leave. Skull is ours.
Hell
Alright.
yeah.
We're moving.
Okay.
Ready, set, fire! Oh my god. This is disgusting.
I killed one.
Send the armies!
Go forth, army.
Let me shoot one as well.
Yeah, fire one.
Yeah, let's go! Rattle them, boys! This was a slaughter. What, I have Toxie Sinclaire on my boat and you didn't think she'd bring Wraith cannonballs? We just fired the equivalent of several gunpowder barrels at their boat, and with our skeleton army roaming their ship, there was no way for them to stay afloat. They tried to get back at us after we sunk them, but let's just say that navigating a boat occupied by no less than 6 skeletons is a difficult task. Now, you might think that after this glorious victory, we'd take our treasure to an outpost to sell, but we had a different idea. This loot was not for selling, it was blood money paid to the gods in hopes of appeasing them for one day they might bestow upon us another shrouded ghost. So we took our vast riches into the cave at Lyra's backbone, protected by our skeleton so that no living creature would get their hands on it ever again. But hey, the Bone Caller is not the only new weapon they added in Season 12, and if you want to find out how I fared on my first day trying them out, make sure to check out my video on the ultimate stealth weapon. You can find a card on screen right now. But until then, thank you everybody so much for watching. Thank you to GamerSubs for sponsoring today's video, and of course, I hope you guys have a day filled with the riches on the sea. And until next time, peace.